Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Maybe it's good evening. I'm Alex, and I'm here with my good friend. What's your name?
Maarten. Hello, guys.
Maarten and I are the two of the three team at CaptainWrap.com. Welcome to our podcast. This episode, we're talking about our startup playbook. There's a hell of a lot of literature out there on why you need a playbook. You may be sick and tired from your day job about hearing how you should set up your sales, marketing, finance playbook. Maarten, run us through what our playbook is and why you think it's relevant, because we've had a lot of arguments.
Yes, we definitely had a lot of arguments, Alex. Having a playbook, I think there's so much content out there, right? I think The Lean Startup, it's a fantastic book by, I believe, Eric Ries. I love it. There's so much content out there on social media, but in the end, you need to find something that works for you. So I believe that for us, we are using 5 steps and really getting validation as quickly as possible.
And so those 5 steps, like how are they helping us?
How they're helping us. So let me tell them first. So
cool.
The first step is your idea real? So is it really something that other people believe as well, or is it just us? So that's step 1. Number 2, building a good enough MVP, a minimal viable product. Then the third one, find your first paying customers. Number 4, learn fast, fail fast, and adapt faster. And then finally, number 5, make it scalable. So those are the 5 steps that we have in place for ourselves.
Let's dive into each one of them, but probably I think you and I have had our biggest arguments, and even along with Captain Wrap, our clandestine CTO, is the idea real and is it a good enough MVP? In a previous conversation, I think I even said, like, do we even need an MVP? You know, how did we get to the idea before we even got to the MVP?
I think that's a super good question. One of the things that I want to avoid nowadays is start building something before you know if there's any interest in market. So what we did is we had this belief that people were struggling with finding a gift. And I am always struggling finding a gift. I know you are, and Captain Wrap as well. But are more people having the same problem? So the thing that we started doing is asking family and friends and people that we just met, do you also struggle with finding a gift? And at that point, when we started thinking about it, I started hearing it in podcasts. I started hearing it on TV. I saw it all over the place. So for me, that was the real validation. Do you have that as well? Did you start hearing it all over the place?
The question on my mind always when you start a business and you say, well, you need to validate it and, you know, you find out whether your idea is real. Like, how do you know if your idea is real if you haven't even tried it out? It's kind of a chicken egg situation. But I think we really cracked it by maybe just taking a step back and going, hey, what is a problem that we face a lot? Sure, finding presence. Hey, okay, let's ask people. So maybe that's a takeaway here for the audience. Like, if you're thinking about a business, you know, ask somebody, is the problem that you're facing in your head, is that something that your mum, your dad, your friend, your girlfriend, whoever is facing as well? And start having arguments about it, because often in those quite abrasive, abrupt conversations, you find out, you know, where the truth lies.
And then as well, Alex, I think there are two things that you can do as well. So one thing is look at search data. So use Google Trends and see how often people are searching on that specific terms or problem or solution that you are suggesting that you're gonna.
I think you found that very helpful, didn't you? You put a lot of effort into that, and that was what really paid off.
I mean, we wanted to buy a URL with gift in it, and like it's so bloody expensive and impossible to find one. You can purchase some, so that's why we came up with Captain Wrap. We were searching for something else. We could, you know, the URL was not available, so that meant to us, okay, that there is something in market. And then another thing, especially if you're into B2B, I think one thing that you can do, ask people to sign up for a newsletter or sign up for something before building it. I think Tesla did it, right? With their, I don't know what their master truck or I can't come up with the name. The Cybertruck, yes. So what they did is before building it, they had people signed up. And people had to pay a small amount just to be on the waiting list. And that kind of gave them confirmation. Hey, this product is going to go into market. There's going to be interest.
There is interest for it. Yeah. Yeah. I think we missed a trick there. Maybe that's something we should have done. We should have just sent out a newsletter to our friends and get people to sign up. But that probably leads us into kind of step 3 of our playbook, finding our first paying customers. We've really wondered, how do we reach people? And sure, this podcast is part of it. Yeah, share your thoughts. You've taken the lead on this, to your credit. So what do you advise?
So for finding first paying customers, yeah, obviously you need a good enough MVP. So you need a product, right? So the newsletter is not going to cut it. So I think first of all, make sure that you build an MVP that resonates, at least is good enough, so people are able to use the product. What we started doing there is, and this comes also ties in with point 4, learn fast, fail fast. Before we had affiliate partners built into the platform, we started testing with friends and family on a small scale and getting feedback. So we built a couple of things, we changed a couple of things, and then we had an MVP.
Yeah.
But then you have to go out to market. And
of course,
then you need to test. Yeah. Then you need to test and see, can you find first paying customers? And the truth is, we do have customers nowadays. We do have people using the platform. But we are not there where we want to be. So this is also a way of, we need to learn, we need to improve.
You raise a very interesting question about where we want to go, because I don't think we've actually thought about that. And we know that we want to be offering a fantastic service, but we haven't had a conversation of that offering is the goal, or whether there's something beyond it. Like, I joked at the beginning, market domination in the present and gifting world. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a good question. I think we just want to build something together. We just want to explore what it is. We do feel that there's a market for it. It could be that we're spending some money, as there's always some money that you need to invest. I'm not talking about thousands of euros. I'm talking about a couple of hundred. You invest a lot of time. And the only thing that we are sure about is we're going to learn a lot. And we are learning a lot on a daily basis.
And we're adapting
We're adapting faster. Are we going to go for world domination in gift giving? I have no freaking idea. But, it's the journey. It's really the journey.
Or step number 5 actually might give us the goal, which is make it scalable. It doesn't really matter what we're doing. If it's scalable and making money, it could be anything.
Yes, but here again, build a good enough MVP really relates to make it scalable. So one mistake that I've made in the past with another startup that I had is that we tested first MVP, fantastic, but it was not scalable. And let's be honest, with Captain Rep, we did the same thing. So Captain Rep built quite a couple of things, but in the beginning, he just built it to make sure, can I make this work? Can I make that work? Yes, he could make it work. And I think 2 weeks ago or so, he made a huge update allowing us to scale for the future. And I think that's a good approach. If you make everything ready for the big future, but you don't know if there's a big future, you're spending a lot of time working on the product before getting market validation that there is something correct and that people are interested in.
I think we're very blessed to be working in the software as a service, SaaS sector, because if you do it right, you do it once, and then you sell again and again and again. So you don't have to think about the physicalities that some business owners might face. If you're building tables to scale, you need to build another table each time a customer wants a table.
So, Alex, I know you're talking now about selling more tables, not being in SaaS. I know you in the past you've had your own company, something with a tube carriage, with cooking, you being a chef. Tell us more about the business that you had in the past.
We had an old London Underground carriage in the east of London, which is kind of, for those of you that don't know, is the hip, up-and-coming, trendy area of London. It was fantastic. It was a really photogenic venue. People came for dinner. People came for their hen parties, for, lots of fun events. But it's physical, right? It was cooking. It was serving drinks, serving cocktails. Very unlike what we're doing now.
Did you start directly with the tube carriage and just having random people in, or how did you had an idea? How did you test it?
Well, all good things happen when you're slightly up against the wall. At least that's my experience. Maybe others may differ. But I was fired from a job for various reasons. So I was left in a position where I had to make sure that we had money coming in. And the only monetizable skill that I had at the time was cooking. So my flatmate said, why didn't we just start cooking dinners for paying customers in our own flat at home in Brixton? We fit 14 people around a table, and it started with friends and family. And it kind of worked. It paid for my rent, paid for some of the bills, but at some point you want your living room back. So again, scaling becomes the question.
Yeah, but and I mean, it's still a step, right? Going from your living room to renting a tube carriage. Did you manage to? I mean, inviting friends and family for a dinner. I assume you made them pay for it.
Yeah, it was one of the greatest things I ever did, making my friends and family pay to eat my food, because we'd had a lot of dinner parties, and all of a sudden, hey, we're doing this properly now. This is my living. £20, please. It
Yeah,
was a lot of fun, but at
but
least it gave me my initial set of customers.
hmm
And I think we were talking earlier about where you find those customers. Like, it is the friends and family that will try it out and pay first. Then scaling into something bigger, because obviously I couldn't turn my flat into a restaurant. So then we started looking on different venue sites like, Eventbrite, Design My Night. Like, what are other people doing? And that market research is really important. And then you start reaching out to people via email. There's a lot of free stuff out there that you can harness to develop and grow your business. But the key moment when it kind of, I suppose, took off, oddly, I was sitting in Wolverhampton in a Costa Coffee, and I was waiting for someone to pick me up from the station. And Wolverhampton, for those of you that don't know, is near Birmingham. And I was just sitting there going, I need to think out of the box. Where can I find venues? And it dawned on me that film crews look for venues. And it was looking on film location websites that I found the Tube Carriage. And that was the next step. I reached out. They thought I was mad. So if people are, if you've reached out to people and they think you're mad, that's usually a good sign. But I still needed to validate the idea. Does it work? And I had no money.
yeah. I mean, that's okay. So you have the venue, you
Mhm.
have this idea. I mean, you've tested your idea. Can I get people to come to my place to cook for them?
Mhm, mhm.
Now you have this amazing venue, but your costs are rising significantly because, I mean, your house, your rent, you're paying already. So
Mhm, mhm.
how do you then move? Okay, now you take that next big step. How did you manage to get paying customers quickly so that you at least could afford it? Because I assume you didn't have a lot of investment, like investors behind you or money that you can say,
Yeah.
okay, I can take 2 years to build this.
I think people underestimate the power of uh, a database, of a client database or a mailing list. And maybe we should make note of this in our own learnings. Like, let's make sure we're capturing emails, because data is king. In the 2 years before we were moving into the Tube Carriage, we had our website and people signed up for our mailing list. And this is in a time before Instagram and TikTok was huge. So people would sign up to mailing lists. They wanted to know about what's the latest trend for food in London. And in 2012, 2013, eating in people's front rooms, etc., was the trend. By the time we went into the Tube Carriage, we must have had several hundred people on our mailing list.
Oh, wow.
And we were able just to email them and say, hey, we're doing this on a Tube Carriage now. Do you want to come along? The first evening was half price. And I was speaking to my business partner at the time, Tom, who's still a friend of mine. And I was really naive in business at the time. And I thought the Tube Carriage had said they want £500 for the evening for just 4 hours to rent it. And where are we going to get £500 from? And Tom said, do it. On the first occasion, we've probably got £500 sitting somewhere. Let's pay it and we'll figure out the rest afterwards. At least let us get the first event in. Because once we've got the first event in, we've got people taking photos, talking about it with their friends, and stuff in London spreads like wildfire. I spent all the budget that I was going to spend on glassware and tablecloths on renting it for the evening. So much so that I went to IKEA and picked up bed sheets as tablecloths. But it worked, right?
But it's a great story, right? It's where, yeah, you have limited budget to start with, and where do you invest it? In this case, you
Mhm.
needed to invest it on the venue, but you had a bigger picture, right? I need this kind of for
Yeah,
marketing purposes. I need to
yeah.
get paying customers, but I also need the images, and then I can go out there and start sharing.
Essentially, it was a marketing or advertising cost because
Yeah,
the key to making it pay for itself was then to go and put another date in the diary 2 weeks later and another date so that people could actually have a bit of choice.
yeah,
And by that time, we're saying, look, dear tube carriage owners, we want to hire this every week. We need to drive the price down, but we will guarantee we will take it. So then the business starts becoming more grown up. You start to drive your costs
yeah.
down. You're starting to invest that money in marketing more.
At the same time, you started with your MVP, and your MVP was in your living room. So you knew by then, I can cook, I can create an experience during an evening that people enjoy and that they would love to come back and that they want to be on my mailing list.
Yeah,
So in that sense, you had the confirmation that your business
100%.
was worth, and now you were giving a new environment to your business.
Yeah.
So it's a great example, I'd say, of how you used our playbook that you didn't know
I
of
was
by then.
inventing it even at that point.
Yeah.
What's really funny is, and this is, a little bit reflective, I never thought of it as an MVP. I remember going, I can't believe I'm putting bed sheets as tablecloths. How embarrassing. Little did I know how much of a success it was going to turn into. We sold the business 8 years ago for a healthy price, and it's still going today. I sold it to a good friend of mine. If you need to check it out in London, it's supperclub.tube. They're great guys. And it's very satisfying to see that the idea I had, whatever, nearly 15, 16 years ago, is still validating itself today. Because people are still going, I'll go and eat on a tube carriage because it's quirky, and I see the Instagram feed. Let's see what happens with Captain Wrap, because I have a similar sense about it. Right, we've tried it out. We've asked our friends and family. Of course, the mum and my friends gave me feedback about the food at times, and I was sometimes thinking, goodness, that was embarrassing. I shouldn't have served that. We've spoken about your mum giving some feedback on our interface at Captain Wrap. It's exactly the same. What would you say is the golden rule for coming up with a playbook or even a business? Is it customers? Is it revenue?
For me, I think it's easy to come up with an idea, or it's not easy because obviously, we've had many discussions, but over the time that we've invested nowadays in Captain Wrap, if we would have used that time just to think about an idea, we would have come up with 10, 20, maybe even 50 new ideas. So everybody can come up with ideas. Everybody is creative. I really believe everybody can come up with a business idea.
I think that's a phenomenal takeaway.
Yeah, no matter what it is, right? It could be a coffee shop around the corner, which could be your passion. I spoke today, I went to the hairdresser. He started a barber shop 2 years ago. Very passionate about it. I love it. And so it could be that, and it could be groundbreaking, like starting Meta or starting Google or whatever, right? So it doesn't matter. Everybody can come up with a business. But for me, the main thing is 10% for me is idea, 90% is execution.
Yeah.
And that's where you need to start with. Come up with an idea and just don't overthink it. At some point, just get going, start validating with friends and family, build that MVP and get those customers in. And once you start having traction, just build on it. It comes with product development. It comes with marketing. You need to start continue trying. At the moment, look at our reach at the moment. It's very limited, but we push for it, and it will come. And if not, we've learned so much. And I think that's the main thing as well. You learn.
It's a really good place to end our conversation. The takeaway really is take that first step. You're going to encounter some funny stories. You're going to encounter some challenges along the way. Have you got any last tips that you would give, particularly maybe along the lines of business ideas and dreams?
So I would say the tip of the week for me is definitely Simon Squibb. We've spoken about him very often. Simon walks up to people with his microphone and he asks, what is your dream? And what he does next is really help people to work towards their dream. So some people have a dream already, some people don't. And for me, it really sparkled my thinking of what is the dream and what do I want to do with my life. But he also meets a lot of people that have a dream, and he gives them ideas how to take that first step. And I would really recommend, as a tip of the week, follow his Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, and he will definitely help you with taking the next step.
Guys, thank you so much for today. Thank you for watching. Maarten, thank you for your conversations, your insight. I value our time together each week. Hopefully it's been helpful to you. Until next time.
Likewise.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.